Hello, everyone. It's just before 1 o'clock, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining this call. This is our last Elearn call for 2017. You have joined Creating Presentation and Printable Infographics. I'm Judy Collins. I am the presenter for today. I am the Program Support Specialist for Marketing at the National Coordinating Resource Center, and again, we're happy to have you. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping reminders. Please mute your computer speakers if you've dialed in, just so that we don't hear any feedback or echoes. If you do need to take another call, please step away, hang up and give us a call back so that we don't hear hold music if you place us on hold. This meeting is being recorded, so there will be slides and the recording available after the session on our website. And then let's get started. So I won't spend too much time on the logic behind infographics and why they're used, except to say that research shows that people remember more of what they see over what they hear or read. So visual aids are very powerful teaching tools. And I'm sure you've seen infographics shared across the web. If you haven't seen the ones that we do here, you certainly have seen those shared from across the web from the CDC, from AIDS Info, AIDS View, and other programs. Actually, a few years ago, we did do an Infographic 101 eLearn call when we first started using this program, Piktochart. And I'll actually add the link and the slides from that call to the website alongside the link for this call after the session, so you can review that if you didn't get a chance to, if you haven't seen it or if you were not participating on that call. But we're always looking for new ways, new meaningful ways to show our work. I make infographics quite a bit to highlight the urgency or importance of certain issues or barriers to HIV care along the care continuum, and then link them to AETC resources or services as a way of marketing and bringing awareness to the program, but also to raise awareness of those issues as well. So we're being asked more and more to show the impact of our work. Infographics are great ways to present how you're meeting your goals, how you're making progress, how you're affecting change. But I do realize that not only can creating infographics be time-consuming, but maybe a little intimidating for those with limited design skills. And also they can be difficult to produce in an actual document that you can print out because of its size and limitations with the average office printer. So this session will focus on how to create infographics in different formats that are easy to produce and how you can use them in your AETC. So today we'll learn to identify some of those uses for the infographics and how to choose the best format for your needs, how to map out your design, how to modify the templates, how to actually export or print your document, and we'll review some of the infographic designing best practices. So every message has an audience and a purpose. Before you start designing, you should think about the purpose of your message. Are you trying to actually illustrate or envision the possibilities of something? Are you trying to simplify a complex issue? Are you trying to amplify or shed light on something? Are you looking for contributions, volunteers, or support? Or are you simply just providing information about a topic or an event? And who is your audience? Are they providers, clients, funders, students, or advocates? It's important to really consider these before you begin. And speaking of purpose and thinking specifically about the AETCs and the work that we do, here are some ideas for using infographics. For reporting, you can add an infographic as an attachment to a progress report as a visual way to present data. You can show the history or timeline or progress and success of your work over time in an infographic presentation. You can identify trends, needs, or gaps. For example, the Rural Health Committee is actually working on a PEP toolkit right now, and as a result, and that came up as a result of identifying that there were inconsistencies in the way emergency departments were prescribing PEP particularly in rural areas and after sexual assault. And so we're going to include an infographic and market that together with the toolkit to kind of enhance some of those messages. So you can also use infographics to publish your research findings or survey results in a more visual way. And they're also great for reinforcing training with handouts and or with fact sheets. So these are the infographic formats available in the Piktochart platform, and that's the program that we use, and we'll discuss more about that in a minute. There are 3 formats listed here, but as I mentioned, we're only going to focus on the presentation and the printable formats. The presentation format allows you to tell your story as a standard size slide presentation, and the printable format allows you to produce one-page documents that can be printed using your office printer as well as shared across the web with ease. The presentation format is good for when you want to include a lot of information, essential and non-essential, but still in a visual and simplified way. It's ideal for telling your story, for presenting historic timeline or showing progress. The presentation is designed in blocks or images, which become the slides of your presentation, and these can be downloaded as PNG images, which are saved in a zip folder on your computer, and then they can be integrated into your PowerPoint presentation. And I'll demonstrate, or I'll show that. And you can also, your presentation can also be saved as an image and viewed as a long-form infographic, and I'll show you that as well. The printable format produces single-page documents that can be printed on the front and back. Printables are available in poster, flyer, and report formats, and they are preset to be printed as standard letter-sized documents. You can produce as many pages of each format as you'd like, but each page is one letter-sized document unless you customize the size. So you can have a 1, 2, or 3-page report. And these formats give you the option of presenting the same information in several different ways. And here's an example of what that means. This is what the presentation, poster, flyer, and report format can look like, and how you can present the same information in 3 different ways. The presentation on the left here is more detailed, where you see the breaks in the line here. That's what separates the presentation into blocks or slides. And if this were an actual presentation, there would be several more blocks to follow, and each block would probably highlight a different point in your presentation. And there's actually a very subtle difference between the poster and the flyer format, which you see here, which we'll see actually in the next slide. I'll show you an example of that. But their purpose is basically to visually convey basic information. And then the report format is designed to kind of parcel out the information to highlight different elements of what you want to convey. So you can have little blocks of information within this format. And here's an example of what the difference between a poster and a flyer could look like. This is not really a hard and fast rule, but the poster is more visual and the flyer has more text or information. But you see that their purpose is pretty much the same. So once you've identified the purpose of your infographic and the audience, then you want to outline your story. And it's helpful to actually write this out so you can visualize just how much information you have to work with, and that can help you decide what format is best to use. You may initially decide on a presentation, but after writing out your ideas, you may find that a report may be more appropriate and more efficient. And then the reverse is also true. So you start with a single theme or an idea and allow it to grow, remembering what, why, when, where, how. Or you can start with a lot of information and pare it down to just what's essential, but keeping your purpose and your audience in mind always. Either way, you want to try and find the right balance of information for your purpose and audience. Unless you're making a presentation, which is a little more drawn out, you don't want it to be too long or heavy. Your story should flow in a logical order. So now I will share my, go to the Piktochart platform and quickly point out some of its features and show you how to get started on creating Here we are. Can everybody see that? Yes, Judy? Uh-oh. So when you open up Piktochart, if you already have an account, it'll take you right to your dashboard or your home page where you can see all of your work. And under the dashboard tab here, you'll find a menu of infographic template choices. So here's the long form infographic, which we're going to skip over. And then here's the presentation, templates, and printable templates. Now you can preview here, and also they're available in free templates, and if you want to bump it up, you can get pro templates, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. So you can preview anything and get a feel for what the style and design is like before you get started. You can page through them all just to see what they may look like, and you can play with the program in your spare time. If you see this little square, colorful square here, that means that you have the option of changing the color palette for each of those templates. So if you like the design but not the colors, you can change the palette with just one click. And I'll also demonstrate that in a second. And what's great about these templates is that Piktochart really has done taken all the guesswork out of the designing. They have done the research and have outlined for you where your images should be placed based on where your eyes land naturally first, what size images should be used, what fonts are best, and what size fonts should be used. And all you have to do really is click on the image or the content and drop your information into its place. You can modify them to your liking, of course, but this program and others like it really just take that guesswork out. And this is true for all of the templates, for printables and for the infographic long form as well. Posters and flyers are designed, let me go to that. Posters and flyers templates are designed as one pages, like I said, but reports, they give you the option of designing single or multiple page documents. So you can add more pages to your poster or flyer if you'd like, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of the ease of a poster or a flyer. So let me demonstrate how to navigate some of these templates. Piktochart has named each template to really help guide you in selecting a theme that will suit your needs. So if you want to do a year-end review, there's a template for that. And so here I'm going to show you that. Let's preview here. So my presentation, if I'm doing a year-end review, could look exactly like this. And all I would have to do is replace my information with what's here. Change some of the images, change some of the text, and voila. For the purpose of all of that, for this call, actually, I've already started that process. So I'm going to show you where I have done that. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do an NCRC year-end review. I've taken the template that was already here. I've actually changed some of the images. I don't know if you noticed, this is our image from our website. This is a picture of downtown Newark. I've included some of the images that they have in their library, which I'll show you how to do all that in a second. But before I actually go into that, I want to show you that there are 3 toolbars to be aware of when you're editing. First, there's this one across the top here, which is for editing and changing fonts, text, locking images in place, aligning them so that they're lined up with everything else as you'd like it to be, and changing, as I said, changing fonts and replacing and copying and deleting and replacing graphics. Then there's on the left side here, here's where you get a little bit more creative. You can find graphics, you can do shapes and icons, you can do animated icons, you can do photos, that they have an extensive library of photos, and also you can upload your own images, and here's some of our uploads. You can change the background of your templates, you can play with the text, you can change the color scheme on some of the templates, not all of them, but that's where this option is here, and you give the option of including some nifty charts, maps, and videos you can include as well for online sharing. And then there's this toolbar, which is on to the left of every block, and this is really just, this is what really, this is just block specific. So you can add a block if you'd like, you can delete a block if you'd like, you can clone a block, you can just copy it and have the exact same image and placement follow underneath that. You can move them up and down and change the placement of the blocks. And if this were a printable or a long-form infographic template, there would be a little settings kind of scroll here where you can actually customize the size of your block if you wanted to. This is a presentation template, so you cannot customize the size because it is preset to fulfill the standard 4:3 ratio slide set presentation, but you can customize the size of other templates. So let me show you how to kind of play with some of these features here. I want to change this image, right? So all I have to do is go to my, let's see, I want to maybe do an image that's in their library. You can search for an image. I want technology. Maybe I want to use this image instead. I drag it to where I see it's been kind of faded, and I just drop it in. Very simple. That's all you do. And if I want to change this image to maybe something that I've uploaded, maybe I want this image that's from our national HIV curriculum. Oops. Drop it in. So what I want to do now, maybe I want this part of the image to show. So I just kind of drag it over. I click done, and we're done. Now, I don't really like that, but that's how you would do it, right? So that's how you drop some of these images into these templates. Now, you can also just, now I want to add a logo here. For features that aren't special, I want to add, let's see, here's our logo. You just click, make sure you're working in the block that you want to edit. Oops. Click on, okay, so now it's not working. There we go. Double click, move to where you want to go, and then you can resize anything to your liking. So here, I'm just going to add that there. If I want to, let's see, add, now I've started filling in some of this information here just for the purpose of this call. I want to actually add another text box here that looks just like this. I'm just going to click on it, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it, and then move it to where I want it to go. And then you could just change the content. I want to say, since there are over 700 active resources on the website, I want to say 50% of them are AETC produced. Okay? And then you can just move it around. They give you like these nice alignment bars and guides so you can make sure everything is lined up properly. And you can continue going down the line from there. Let's see, what else do I want to show you? You can change the backgrounds if you'd like. Here, I want to change the color scheme. This one gives me the option to change the color scheme. So if I click on that, maybe I want this color instead. Right? So you can change the color schemes there. Let's see. Now I'm finished designing. I mean, there's definitely more to go through. You can go through each of the slides and just play with them. It's actually free to do that. You can spend as much time as you'd like for free on this. But now I'm finished, right? I'm going to go back to my original. And I want to preview it. Make sure I like the way it looks. Am I happy with it? Yeah. So I want to exit preview, and now I'm ready to download it. So here's what you want to keep in mind when you're downloading or printing. what you want to pay attention to is this part right here where it says download as blocks. And if you hover over this little icon, it'll tell you that if you download the blocks with this off, it will download as one long form infograph, which is the kind of cumbersome infograph that you can only really share across the web, that is difficult to print, and that's not the purpose of this call. What you want to do is make sure that this is on so that you can have it downloaded in block forms so that you can add them to your presentation, or you can print them as a one-page document. So we're going to I've already downloaded them so I can show you what it looks like. So I'm going to just make sure this is engaged. We're going to download it as a PNG, and I'm going to show you here how it looks. When you download them as a PNG in the block form, you get an individual slide for each image, for each block, right? And then you can easily integrate those into your PowerPoint presentation, and I'll show you that here. So I've already taken the time to include these images into our NCRC slide set. Just basically just cutting and pasting, right? You're just dropping them in, and then there's your presentation. Now, if you had the Pro plan, you could download it as a PDF. PDFs are only available if you pay for the Pro plan, which is not expensive. I'll discuss that in a second. If you were to do that, you could have a presentation that looked like this. And it's just a kind of a standalone presentation on your desktop, easy to share as a PDF slide set or as a PDF long form infograph. If you decided you wanted to, the block on feature was not engaged and you decided to download it as a PNG, this is what it would look like. And here's the long form infographic, which is also very nice, but as we mentioned earlier, it can be hard to actually use as a document that you can hand out, print, and use in very versatile ways. So that's pretty much how you design and download and utilize the presentation format. Now I'm going to quickly show you just some principles. Go back to here. Okay, so let's look at the reports. Remember, printable templates are set to the US letter size so they can be easily printed, but they can also be customized. And if you want to customize the size, you can make sure that the resized content for every block is engaged. So I'll show you that. Let's see, let's use this one. Let's use this template. So here's that settings bar I was talking about, and so it's already kind of preset to the letter size of the A4 size, right? And that's what will give you that one pager if you print. But if you want to customize it, you click here and you add your weight and your height, and these are pixels. And you make sure you do this for each one of the blocks, otherwise you'll only be resizing one block at a time. So here's an example of a 2-page report, which can easily be printed on the front and the back. You can download it in the same way you would do the slide presentation format. Make sure you have your set to download as blocks, so you can do that one-pager front and back. If not, you will get the long form infographic that will be difficult to print if that's what you're using it for. And actually, normal is fine for quality printing. If you were sharing on a very large screen, or you were actually printing a true poster, like a wall-sized poster, then you would want to bump it up a little bit. I don't even think that this program can let you do it that big, but you would get a higher quality image if you went to these, but it's not necessary if you're printing out one-pagers. And I think that's really kind of it. Before I move on, are there any questions at this time?
This is Mary Beth from Maytech in Ohio. I had typed in, if you could just review again how to drop the downloads into the PowerPoint. I didn't follow that.
Okay, so when you download as in block form, what's going to happen is they are going to where you see the zip folder. This is how it'll show up on your computer, right? You'll get a folder with all of the images, singular images from each block. And what you do is basically copy and paste. You can copy and paste these right into your PowerPoint presentation. So I'll show you. That's basically what I did. And then there may be a more scientific way and easier way to do that. But what I did was just, I'll do it here. Oops, sorry. Let's do that again. Actually, here's what I'll show you what I did. I selected all of these. You hold your shift button and you just select them all. Copy. And then I just drop them in. Oops, paste. Oops. And they all show up and you just move them around to where you want them to go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions before I kind of move on to best practices and summaries? No, okay. So, don't. So Piktochart. So a little bit about the program. It's free and very easy to use. And as you can see, hopefully you saw that was relatively easy. But you really can just play with it and get a feel for it to become more familiar with how you can navigate through. The Pro plan is $39.99 for the year if you or pay for it with a nonprofit or educational discount, and those are available. That is per plan. So if there's more than one person in your office that wants to use this on their computer, then it would be $39.99 per person. But the upgraded plans, as cheap as they are, really do provide you with tutorials and blog stories and other tools for support. You have the availability to download as a PDF, which gives you a little bit more flexibility in how you want to use your document. You are also have access to more visuals, more graphics, and you're able to upload more graphics. So I don't see a reason why you wouldn't want to go for the Pro plan, but of course, just to get started, just use the free ones, the free templates, and see how you feel with those. They have a very responsive support team, so if you do have any questions, they get back to you right away. I can't really think of any cons. I know that there are other plans out there. I haven't really researched which ones are better than this one. But I find that the only con really would be the time and the practice that it takes to kind of really, and I can't even say master it because they keep adding new features, so there's always something new to work with and something new to learn. So we've been happy with them. I suggest you guys try it and see how you feel. And just kind of to summarize and throw out some best practices, you start by identifying your audience and your purpose, because every message has one. Definitely map out your story, and that will help you to choose your format. You can start big and whittle down, or you can start small and grow, but definitely find that balance that's right for your audience and for your purpose. Follow the templates. They make it very easy for you to work with these templates. Stick with the suggested colors and color palettes. Stick with the suggested font sizes and text and image placements. Certainly, if you are a design, if you're interested in more design and you want to get creative, go ahead, but they do make it very easy. Remember that the printable templates are designed to be the U.S. letter size, but you can customize that. Presentation templates cannot be resized, and you cannot auto-convert templates. So you can't have a long-form infographic template and auto-convert it into a printable and vice versa. And that's just some of what I've learned using this program, and I hope that I've encouraged you guys to really give it a try. That's really the end of my presentation. Are there any other questions? Let's see if I can, how hard is it not to have too much text? It's hard. It's hard. I don't know if John is on the call, but you know, when we create them here, it goes through a review process, several review processes before we can get down to what we really want to say after editing out what we think is unnecessary, which could be necessary, but it doesn't have to be, you know. So again, it's about finding that balance and knowing who your audience is and how much information they need to know. Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you're like, for instance, we're doing one now for to present to HRSA. They don't need to know the backstory of the NCRC. They know the backstory, so we can eliminate a lot of that information. But if I were presenting that information to new potential funders or another organization, it'd be in our best interest to include some of that. So think about your audience and your purpose. Any other questions? Let's see. Can they be saved as PDF from PowerPoint once they integrate it into slide set? Well, you can save the slide set as a PDF, and then that would give you your PDF form, if that answers your question. Did the download review? Some PDFs are actually really hard and impossible to make compliant, yeah. So that's why you might want to stick to the presentation format, because you can make that compliant, and then if you wanted to, you can download the PDF, that PowerPoint as a PDF, or save it as a PDF. Open image and printed PDF. Yeah, there you go. I don't see any other questions. Everybody's silent. Hopefully you're just taking it all in. All right. Well then, I guess we're done. We can close out early if there's no other questions. Thank you guys for joining us for this last call of 2017. Before I move on, I just want to let everybody know that you can contact me anytime if you have questions about this program, or if you have questions about the design process. I'm happy to help, and also to remind you that we are now on a quarterly basis with the Elearn calls. Our next call is scheduled for March of next year, and we'll let you know closer to that time, a topic and time and date. And that's it. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time.